To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So as I've told you before, we started a small garden this year. Anybody who's been with us any length of time knows that when we got to the property, it was already pretty late in the season. We got here March 3rd. We had to get things cleaned up. This whole place, it was overgrown with, overgrowth, and we had to get it all cleaned up. So by the time we actually got settled in and actually started growing seeds, it was pretty late in the season. So we didn't know how well the garden would do, but it gave us some practice. Of course, we have both grown gardens before, but we were concerned about how much shade this area gets. Well, last week, I think I told you, I was concerned about the tomatoes, and we weren't going to get any tomatoes. But as you can see, like the next day after I made that video, tomatoes started popping up everywhere. So we got 3 tomato plants that we planted to just see how it would do. We got some squash and cucumbers. So already getting some huge, well, I say huge for this time of the year. We're starting to get some squash here. See if we can get it in the camera. I don't know. And cucumbers. We've been eating cucumbers almost daily. And our walnut tree here is starting to shed its leaves. It's August. It's like August 10th today. You'll get this video 6 or 7 days after I make it. And it's already shedding its leaves. I thought this was kind of early, but in September, the walnuts should start dropping out of here. And so we'll get some walnuts. I've been really excited about this. We got about a dozen walnut trees through the property. So that'll make a nice little snack each night to get some walnuts. So living off grid has been pretty fantastic for us. Just playing around this first year. Well, we've been pretty busy this year trying to get everything established. We're in a slowdown mode now. I think things are starting to smooth out so we can just enjoy life. Never been happier in my life. This is wonderful. So today I wanted to talk to you about several comments that I've received. I try to do this question answer type of video as often as I can. I haven't been able to do it very often now since we've been living off grid here because I've been so busy. When I was a nomad, I'd do questions and answers at least once a week. But I don't get a lot of time now to really review the comments and questions. So I wanted to spend a few minutes and not really talk about questions, but more about comments and the dream. Whatever your dream is, I'm not necessarily saying your dream is living off grid. That's my dream. I want my dream. You take your dream. Stop stealing mine. But if you have a dream and you want to accomplish it, man, I really want to show you how to get there. Got a comment this morning that I really found interesting. Of course, Carolyn and I are debt-free. 6 years ago now, 7 years ago, my wife and I separated, divorced. After 14 years, we raised our daughter. I adopted my daughter. It was a step-parent adoption. So she was my wife's daughter, and I adopted her when she was, I guess, 2. During that relationship, I acquired a lot of debt. And of course, divorce brings, bills and debt. And I got a large portion of the debt. Well, I guess most of the debt or all the debt. I was $50,000 in debt by the time it was all said and done. It was terrible. And so within 2 years, Carolyn and I got the debt paid off, and we started sinking the majority of our paychecks into our savings account. So now, we spend $500 on ourselves each month, food and cell phones and insurance. $500 a month on our tiny house, and everything else, the bulk of our money now goes into savings and emergency fund. But now that I am debt-free, I now realize that true meaning of freedom is being debt-free. You can't have freedom, and it's hard to have happiness unless you're debt-free. I was spending 16 hours a day at work and a job that was killing me. I liked the work, I really did, but the stress was just, it was hard to sleep at night, always anxiety and panic and scared, and I had to keep the job because I was in so much debt. There is no way that's freedom. When you can't quit a job because you're scared about the debt. But I got a comment today. It says, Rob, you're living life on your own terms. The rest of us are out here, we've got tons of debt, and to show everybody that we made it and what a fake we are. And I thought, wow, that's true. you spend money so you can have the nice things, the new cars and the beautiful houses and all this, but are you really living life on your own terms? No, you're living it on the bank's terms. And so here's how I want to guide folks who want to be debt-free. It's really not that hard. First of all, you just stop spending money. Period. I mean, that is just it. There's absolutely nothing that you have to have outside of food, water, shelter, and I guess transportation, get back and forth to work. Anything that's going to bring money in is what you would have to spend money on. That's it. So you got to eat so you can bring money in. You got to have shelter so you can sleep so you can bring money in. You got to have transportation so you can bring money in. Nothing else matters. TV, all of it. It can go. And once you realize that's the key, you don't need a raise, you don't need extra money, you don't need to go out and work extra hours, you just got to stop spending money. The next step is wake up like you mean it. I wake up every day like I mean it. And especially when I was working on being debt-free, I'd wake up and my only mission in life was to become debt-free. It was an obsession of mine. And it carried over. It's like an addiction now. I'm not going to get debt-free, and I'm going to continue to save money. And once you get debt-free, then you can live life on your own terms. Then you can live your dream. I get a lot of people say, Rob, you're so lucky. And I'm going to be honest with you. There was no luck to it. It was dedication. I woke up like I meant it every day, and I accomplished it. Even though I didn't know exactly what it is I was trying to accomplish, I knew that this first step was being debt-free. And once you get there, everything's downhill. And it doesn't matter how old you are, how much you make, just stop spending. I can't say it enough. And I don't mean to be sarcastic or mean about it. It's just that simple. If you want true happiness, stop spending money because the junk just stresses you out anyways. We have nothing. Carolyn and I live in a 7 foot by 7 foot box. We're building a 12-foot by 16-foot box. We can't store anything. You know, I got insulation sitting over here. I don't even have a shed to put insulation in. I got to buy tarp. And the only reason I bought the tarp was, you know what I can use after the installation? I can cover firewood. So it's got to be multi-purpose. I got to be able to use it until I can't use it anymore. The last few days, I've gotten a lot of comments or questions or, you know, whatever, talking about family. A while back, I discussed, you know, my husband doesn't want to live full-time. How can I talk him into it? Well, here recently I've gotten a lot of comments that suggest like mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles or whoever else, extended family, isn't going to like or isn't happy that I want to live off-grid. So when we're talking about family, not being happy about you doing something, there's two sides to this. The first one is the family member supporting you or a support to you? So like a husband. If a husband is in it, you know, it's a 50-50 deal, well, then you got to consider the 50, that other 50. And so in my opinion, if he says, I don't want to do it, then you're going to either have to show your husband the advantages to living off-grid, which I'm not sure there is. I mean, let's say the guy's worked 40 years, he's retired, and all he wants to do is lay back, drink his beer, and watch TV. Okay, he's worked really hard, and that's what he wants to do. So now we're going to ask him to come out here and cut firewood for the rest of his life. What can we do so he can still have his dream, which was sit back, watch TV, and drink his beer, and cutting firewood? I mean, there's two extreme differences there. So there has to be, I think, in a partnership like that, there has to be give and take. Now, the extended family. If you got mom and dad saying, I don't want you living off-grid, this is a terrible idea, you're not thinking this through, there's all kinds of issues. I don't have that problem with my parents. And the reason is I don't expect my parents to actually solve my problems when problems arise. You know, I of course have stayed at mom's house, but I always tried to pay my way. You know, I gave her some extra cash and made sure that if she was cooking, that I gave her plenty of food or money, or so, you know, I was trying to help support the situation. So I wasn't just saying, okay, I need you to take care of me because I've come up here in the winter and I've ran into a problem. Nope, I supported myself through that problem. You know, when I went down to Dad's house, we stayed on his property so I could fix up my camper and rebuild my camper. Again, we participated. I helped him put the roof on his house. If you're the type that says, okay, I just bought this piece of property and now I need some money to dig a well. Mom, Dad, can you give me some money? Well, yeah, you know, that kind of says a lot that they have some input. I don't want you going and living off grid if I got to pay for the solar panels, or, you know, if something breaks, you don't have an emergency fund. You don't have, you're in debt up to your eyeballs, all this stuff. But if you can honestly support yourself and have no issues where Mom and Dad doesn't have to be involved, then I would hope that you can show your parents that they could be happy for your happiness. So if you can show them you're happy and they can be happy for you, that's great. They may not like what you're doing, but there's not really much that they can say, okay, you're just not going to do this. It's forbidden. Not that I'm saying you want to defy your parents, but really, what input do they have if they're not having to do anything to deal with it? And eventually, you'll show them how happy and how great it is. I hope I can inspire you to wake up like you mean it. Thanks for watching.